Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got such a fun project for you today. Let's take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this great? Such a modern, clean feel. It's just so light and airy. I just love it. It makes a quilt that's about 66 by 70, so it's a pretty good size quilt. And I love how these little points come together to form these rings. Really a fun block. Now let's talk about what you need. You're going to need one packet of 5-inch squares to make this quilt, of a printed. You're going to need 4 background packets of 5-inch squares like this, or 3 yards. You can get it out of yardage as well. You're also going to need 1.5 yards for this outer border out here. This is a 6.5-inch border. And you are going to need 4¼ yards for your background. And look how cute that is. Isn't that a fun background? That gingham is coming back. It was big when I was a kid, but it's coming back again. And actually it is back. Anyway, so let's talk about how you do this. So what you're going to do first is you're going to take your 5-inch square, one of your squares, and we'll just choose one out of here. Let's go ahead and choose, oh, so many choices. I'll choose this one. All right, here we go. So all of this fabric is so cute. Even like, I hope you notice the little border. It's tiny scissors. It's so cute. All right, so we're going to take our print charm pack and we're going to cut it into fourths. And I'm just using my little 2.5 ruler because I know if I lay it on the edge, it'll get me right to the middle. And I'm going to put it on both sides and do this. All right, so now we have 4 of those, just like that, and we're ready to go. What you want to do on this is you want to draw your line corner to corner or press it. I like to press my line. And so I got a little finger press on there. I'm just going to touch it with the iron, and then I'm going to get one of my white squares right here. Move these out of the way. I think I have 2. Nope, I just guess I have 1. And then you're going to lay them right sides together, and we are going to sew right on this line, right on top of the line, right there. So let's go to the sewing machine and do that. And I think I'm going to flip this around so it lines up really nice in the corner there. There we go. All right. Now I'm sewing right on the line. You know, fairly often in quilting, I get the question asked about, do we backstitch in quilting? Do we backstitch? A lot of us come from clothing backgrounds where everything is backstitch. In quilting, every seam is enclosed in another seam, so you don't really need to backstitch. That was a hard habit for me to break, and sometimes I still backstitch. It doesn't matter either way. But once you realize you don't have to, for some people it's just like, oh, you know, you're just really happy about it. All right, let's go press this back. Now I'm just rolling the iron back, and I'm keeping that fabric, because my background is white, I'm keeping the fabric on the color on the color side. And take a look at this block, because this, my friends, is your whole quilt. This is it right here. You're going to do that to all your squares. You're going to cut them up and do this one thing, and it makes this quilt. Now for some quilts, the whole trick is in the layout. And this one is definitely one of those kind of quilts. So you're going to want to look at your diagram. You're going to have a diagram that looks something like this, and you're going to want to make that layout work for you because it's going to, when you put it together like this, it's going to form those rings. So let me show you how I did that. So you know, you guys know me, I'm a little angly challenged, so I have to come up with ways to put things together. And when I started on my board, I started with 4 seams, or 4 blocks in the center like this. When I'm talking about my design board, when I started on my design board laying this out, I wanted to start with 4 blocks together like this. Now this block up here, I'm taking the same block, but turning them so they line up like a little geese. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides, like this. And over here, you see the ring forming? Oh, it's so cute. All right, there we go. So now that comes together and forms that ring. Now, you can't actually put this together as a block, because when you start over here, this one also comes together like this when you put the next one together, and it's the peak of the next ring. That's what makes them offset. So the best way to lay this out is row by row. So you're going to lay your rows out and follow your diagram, and then you're going to sew this row together and this row together this row together, and then this row together, and then you'll sew your rows together. So once you get your long single pieces together, you'll sew your whole row, and as long as you've laid it out and watched the direction everything's going, then you'll be able to put those together and it'll turn out just like this. So let's look again at the quilt. So here's our little rows up here. So this one kind of has, you know, little geese, little geese, little geese, little geese, and those, of course, you can sew together in pairs like this. You know, you just want to watch this little seam right here to make sure this lines up. And if your seam happens to be really bulky, you can press it open like this. You know, pressing is a personal preference and it's just what works for your block. If my block lays nice and flat when it's pressed to the side, I just let it go. But sometimes it'll have a little bulk there and you'll want to press that open. All right, so let's look again. Here's our next row right here, and then this row, and so on. So just watch the diagram, how you lay it out, because this is about the easiest block you're ever gonna make. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We're calling it pecking order because it's a takeoff on my Silly Goose block, and you have to get them all in order to make this design work. So we're calling this pecking order, and we hope you enjoyed this tutorial from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.